My mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I was told by the doctors that she could no longer live alone starting immediately. And um, she had very limited funds, and her house was in horrible, horrible state. um, Plumbing, electrical, foundation. There was no, and just the living clutter, stench, so forth. So there was no way we were going to be able to do it in a timely fashion. I live in Florida, so I flew in town for about a week to get some doctor's appointments done, and I was able to contact mom's house and get someone to meet me at her house in that short time frame when I was in Kansas City. They worked around my schedule and met me there to look at the house and be able to give me a quote the very next day, and then let me schedule the closing for when I could come back again to Kansas City. It was extremely embarrassing to have someone go into her house. The plumbing did not work. The stench was unreal. And I warned him before we went in, but he assured me that it was okay. And I definitely got emotional when, after we'd gone through it. Sorry. um, and he was very kind and understanding when he was talking to me about it, and said he had been, he had a parent that he had to do a similar thing with, and I never felt judged at all. It was a very good experience. I met Kevin, the senior specialist, at the house he was from mom's house, and got my quote within a day or two. I think it was the very next day. And then I wasn't able to come back in town for a month, 3 weeks. They scheduled the closing for when I got back. It could have been much sooner, but they had to wait for me to get back in town. And then scheduled it, and I had the funds. It was either that day or the very next day. It might have been the next day only because it was a later closing, but it was phenomenal. I was blown away. Putting my mom into a facility obviously was going to cost quite a bit of money, and she has a very limited income and had a very small savings. And for me to be able to move her immediately like the doctors were wanting, I was going to have proof that we had the funds to be able to keep her in the facility for a while. I couldn't move her in with the amount that she had. And the fact that they were able to move so quickly so it was just such a smooth transition. And for me to be doing it from out of state, I mean, I could not have asked for a better scenario. I would absolutely recommend Mom's House to anyone who is trying to find a new place for their loved one to live in, especially if they're needing to sell the house quickly in order to get that move done. And if the house is in a position where they can't sell it immediately, even with a real estate agent or something, if there's too much work to be done, Mom's House is perfect for that because they do all the renovations and handle all that after you already have your money. The state of my mom's house, when I went there came back from Florida to Kansas City to figure out how to get her moved out. The state of her house was so bad. There was no way that we had the time or the money to fix it up and then sell it. My husband and other people looked at it and they're like, you'll be lucky to get 10, 15 grand out of this. And I'm like, well, I got to do what I got to do. Absolutely floored with the amount of money that we were able to get out of it. 2 or 3 times, no, more than that, 3 or 4 times more than what we expected to get from it. So it was very, very fair and totally unexpected. When I got that quote, there were definitely tears of relief and being able to go back to Florida, having my mom in a facility where I knew she was safe and cared for so quickly. I could not ask more. It was a phenomenal experience, and I definitely recommend them to anyone who's in that same position. I don't know what I would have done. I was I was a mess trying to figure out what I was going to do to help her get in a safe situation. And I mean, I already knew there was something going on probably 6 months before that, but I had to go through all the steps of getting her diagnosed before I would have the power to be able to sell her house and get her in a safe place. I mean, it was nuts. And then moving in the middle of it, because she wasn't diagnosed before I moved. I got down here and then I got diagnosed and then I had to go back up there. So just to give you an idea how crazy it was.